Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday. Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and for this week's episode, we're going to talk about movies that we wish had a sequel. Now, this was kind of a tough list. I think the yes ones, where we wish they had a sequel, was much more difficult than the ones that we felt that should not have a sequel. Because, of course, hindsight's always 20/20, and us hoping for something doesn't mean it would have actually turned out well. So let's go through my list. I have it in no particular order, so let's see how this goes. For one, The Green Hornet with Seth Rogen. I really enjoyed this movie. It was kind of a parody. It was kind of a spoof. And Seth Rogen didn't even like the movie. It didn't do incredibly well, but I thought it was well done. I liked that the sidekick Kato was basically the hero. What was his name? I can't even think of the main character's name. But anyway, he was the guy who plays the Green Hornet. He was, kind of the buffoon. He was the folly for Kato, but I thought it worked well. I would have liked to have seen a sequel, and Christoph Waltz was great as the villain. All right, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Now, this is kind of a weird one because they did do other movies with different monsters. What I would have liked to seen is bring back Dracula and Frankenstein the Wolfman, because I thought that was one of the best versions of the horror movie, and that was the first Universal horror movie I really saw. Dazed and Confused. It had been tough to beat the magic. I didn't want to necessarily see a sequel with the same characters. I thought maybe an offshoot of Dazed and Confused in the 80s would have been kind of fun. I don't know, maybe a year after, that would have been kind of fun, but it never got made. I loved the original Dazed and Confused. And there wasn't much of a plot, so you could have done pretty much anything at that point. Dragnet from 1987 with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. That would have been fun to have a sequel. I'm not sure how well it actually did. It's kind of a cult classic, but I really enjoyed that one. I still watch it to this day. This one is a classic. Maybe it was better they didn't make a sequel, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, maybe what would have happened the next day? What happened to the principal? What happened to Jeannie? That would have been really interesting to see. Galaxy Quest. I think I have a lot of people on this podcast that really enjoy Galaxy Quest, and I'm with them because I thought that would have been a good sequel. At this point, since Alan Rickman is now dead, I don't know if they could really do it, but it would have been good if they could have done it maybe a few years after the original Galaxy Quest. Much like Ferris Bueller, The Goonies would have been great as a sequel, as they got a little bit older, and now they're still talking about doing a sequel, which I just don't see them. That can't. One of the common themes when there's sequels that that have been too long in between the original movie and then the eventual sequel, that never works. I just really don't like it when they do that. So I think their window has closed. The Graduate, the famous movie with Dustin Hoffman, that would have been cool to see what happened. Obviously you get the ending where they're both on the bus after he spoils her wedding. It would have been cool to see what would have happened with them in a sequel. The movie Lucas with Corey Haim, that would have been kind of cool to see a sequel because you kind of saw the ending. Lucas kind of got the respect after playing football. You have the slow clap, which is completely cliche today, but it's still fun. It's very much of the 80s, but that would have been a good sequel, in my opinion. Plus, you had Winona Ryder in one of her first film roles. Pretty Woman. I think everyone wanted to know what happens to Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. Maybe it's better left as it was, but I think it would have been cool as a sequel. Where would she have ended up after she hooks up with Richard Gere? The movie Private Parts with Howard Stern. He wrote, this is based on a book called Private Parts. It's based on his life. His life obviously wasn't over. I think it covers up until maybe the late 1980s. He's done much more in the last 20, 25 years. They can definitely do a sequel. I don't know if he's going to do one, but it was well done, and there's plenty that's gone on. He's gotten divorced. Well, maybe that's why he doesn't want to do it, because Private Parts is a lot of times is a love letter to his original wife. But no, he's done a ton of things since then. He ran for mayor. That didn't pan out, obviously. He moved to Sirius Satellite Radio, so I think it would have been ripe for a sequel. Real Genius with Val Kilmer. That would have been kind of cool to see what happened to those guys that were basically going to Caltech and the aftermath of basically foiling the bomb that they were going to create, the weapon they were going to create. And considering how Big Bang Theory is so popular now, it would have been kind of neat to see a sequel for Real Genius. Along the same lines, Val Kilmer in Top Gun. They keep talking about making another Top Gun where I think Tom Cruise would play one of the flight instructors. It would have been cool if 1988 or 1989 they had done a sequel to Top Gun. But at this point, I don't think it would be a good sequel if they did it now. The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. I love The Shadow, the old-time radio show. A lot of people didn't like this movie when it first came out. It could have been better, and I agree, but I still enjoyed it. And I think if it would, much like The Green Hornet, I think if it had done well in the box office, they would have created a sequel. Maybe they'll do a revision of it because it's ripe for today's special effects. He has this mask of invisibility where he can, he's basically a superhero, but he's invisible and he fights crime. He's almost like a detective. I think with today's technology, it could be really cool. I would assume someday they'll do something, but that sequel won't happen. Some Kind of Wonderful, another John Hughes movies. What happens to Mary Stuart Masterson and Eric Stoltz? That would have been kind of fun. What would happen to Leah Thompson? And lastly, Veronica Mars. So I got into the TV show late. It was definitely off the air. And so I went through, I binge watched all 3 seasons, loved it, loved the movie. I think would benefit from a sequel, because she's the type of character that, she's always going to be involved in something. So a sequel would be cool. If you didn't know already, the actual movie was started by crowdfunding, and they have a rabid fan following. And they raised enough money to basically do a movie. So if they could do it again, that would be great. All right, that is it for my movies that I wish had a sequel. Let's hear what everyone else has to say in this week's episode. All right, we're back with my other brother, Brian. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. So as we recording this, eventually it'll be a few weeks since I've done interviews with people. So this is good. We're getting back into me interviewing people. So
back in the swing, yeah.
Back in the saddle. So for this week, we're going to talk about movies that we wish had sequels, but they never did for whatever reason. And so I'm curious to hear what people have to say about, especially this subject, because it gets into your creativity of what you had hoped.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So for me, I only really thought about 2. The first one is Spaceballs, which I think there actually is a rumored sequel. Except, I don't know how it'll entirely be pulled off without John Candy and Joan Rivers.
Yeah, Dot Matrix.
They were great supporting characters in that movie. So and I think one of the other problems was that Mel Brooks was trying to coax Rick Moranis out of retirement.
Oh yeah,
and he would have to be.
He would have to be. Yeah,
you can't have Dark Helmet.
No, exactly. Yeah, I think your main 2 characters, Daphne Zuniga and Bill Pullman, would definitely be in.
Yeah.
But the other ones those are key characters.
The rest of I don't know. So I don't know what they would do, but yeah, it's been a movie. The funny thing about Spaceballs is that I don't think I ever expected much from it. I had seen a couple of Mel Brooks films and really liked them. History of the World was sometimes on TV.
Yeah.
This is way back in the 80s, and I don't think I had even seen Blazing Saddles at that point.
Oh, okay. Or Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, maybe parts of those movies, but not the entire thing. Because we probably had a VCR, but we didn't have cable.
Right.
And I don't know that. Yeah, so we wouldn't have rented that necessarily. Yeah, so then I saw Spaceballs at the Bargain Theater. Back in those days, there was a dollar theater near my house. This is awesome. I think I saw Spaceballs, and what was the other one with it?
This is 86?
Might have been Transformers the movie, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's definitely some recall. Yeah. I remember we saw Spaceballs at the drive-in. I totally remember that. I think my dad thought it was so stupid, but my mom and everyone else loved it.
I just loved it. I still love it. It's still one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah. And it's completely screwball, but
it should be.
I think it's kind of one of the things I thought about it when I took a film class in college. There was we talked about screwball comedies from the 30s, the Howard Hawks movies, and so I was thinking about some of Spaceballs in relation to that, and some of the dialogue in Spaceballs flows like a screwball comedy.
It does.
It's Mel Brooks kind of really knows his stuff. He's got kind of a historian almost of comedy.
The fast paced.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. There's a lot to appreciate about it. Because I love Star Wars and Star Trek and sci-fi movies in general.
Oh yeah.
So the parody of that was great, and I think since then there's been umpteen sequels and other sci-fi movies that they can draw on. So.
And pretty much Mel Brooks is the king at almost parody. I mean, because he did Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and
he's like the Weird Al is like the analog of Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like two sides of the same coin.
I'm trying to think about, is Dick Van Patten still alive? I
think he died recently.
Yeah,
so maybe it was last year when every celebrity died.
It's a bad year in 2016, but. That's a great one. I would have loved to. I wish they had made a sequel maybe quicker.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing now. Like, I've wanted the sequel all this time, and if they made one, I'd probably go see it. But it's kind of like I don't know how it could measure up if you don't have John Candy.
Yeah, exactly, and Joan Rivers. I think
Joan Rivers.
They were both key characters in that movie.
So
we'll see if that happens. I'm almost with you. Maybe. If they had done it at one point, it would have been okay. But I don't know if he's ever made a sequel before either. So
Mel Brooks, I don't know that he has.
Yeah.
He remade The Producers, right?
That's true. But never
never a sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. Okay, so what other ones do you have?
The other one I was thinking about just kind of a few minutes ago, like, you know what, it'd be cool to go back to the universe of Pulp Fiction and see a sequel to that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Tarantino's got that in mind ever, but some of the characters died too, but you wouldn't see John Travolta unless there's like a flashback. But
maybe you could do a prequel.
That could be a prequel.
A lot of those.
I mean, the way he played with time in the movie, like it's not a linear story, so you could easily see it being flashbacks and things like that. But
and get into Christopher Walken's
his youth.
Yes. Oh my God.
This watch.
Yeah, that's the greatest scene in the movie. I'm sorry. That's a great one. Yeah, I don't know if he really does sequels either. I mean, except Kill Bill
was meant to be one movie. So that's the only reason why it was a sequel. And he couldn't cut it down. It's like, all right, I'll chop it up.
Yeah.
That's
no pun intended.
So
those are two really good ones. Any other ones? But those are the two main ones.
I'll probably think of some later. I'm like, oh damn, why didn't I tell Brian? No,
that's all right. When we do our movies that should have been sequels, we can always intersplice.
Right,
so cool. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, sure.
All right. By the time you hear this, Enrique will already be married. So congratulations.
Thank you. Is it going up after the 10th?
It will be going up after the 10th.
Wow.
At least that's probably my plan. If not, it's close enough to
close enough that I'll probably listen to it as a married lady.
So I have to do favorite wedding movies.
Oh, yeah. I have so many. I love wedding movies.
But until we get into that, this week we're going to do the movies that you wish had a sequel made for them. And so
totally.
This was a hard one for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, I thought about like my criteria for movies that I think need or deserve sequels and movies that I think like really shouldn't have sequels, but those that deserve sequels I kept coming back to were ones that had really phenomenal casts and like the dynamic was just you could watch it forever and it didn't really matter the plot. It was like the chemistry between the actors and like all of the just the hilarity that ensues when you have that many people to like that are good actors together. So the first one I really wanted there to be a sequel was Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the plot is obviously hilarious and silly, but what makes it so funny is the ensemble. Yeah. And, it was Tim Allen's latest, greatest movie. And Alan Rickman is incredible. And you got Sigourney Weaver in there. It's just so good. And they could have made it so interesting, because Star Trek, what it's spoofing, it was a series, so you could so easily like spoof one of the sequels of Star Trek that was made, or any of those.
So the sad part was, of course, Alan Rickman died.
Gone.
But I heard they are talking about making a sequel. So,
that's to me a little too late because I'm not going to want to see it.
I know.
I think there's like a sweet spot, where you can make it and have it be really socially relevant and like interesting to watch and fun for everyone. And I feel like Galaxy Quest, they just missed the mark.
I agree.
I don't think they realized what a cult phenomena and like a classic it kind of
did it do super well in the box office?
I don't think it did. I think it was silly and like just a comedy that they had fun with.
Right.
They didn't realize it was going to really like be a big comedy and like the hallmark. So
and Sam Rockwell was also in it.
Who did he play?
He was the one that kind of he was like the cast member at the end. Like he was not the main cast, but he kind of became part.
Oh
of he was the younger guy.
Yeah, the young guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a person that was anybody other than that actor who played that.
And Tony Shalhoub's in it, of course, from Monk.
Oh, yeah. And, yes, of course. Oh, I forgot. There's so many good people.
Justin Long. Yeah.
Who's the woman who played the alien?
Her?
Yeah, Missy Pyle.
Yeah.
She was funny in the 90s.
Yeah.
So good. Anyway, so that was my...
And then the main alien was Enrico Colantoni, who was in Veronica Mars. He played Veronica Mars' dad.
Did he really?
Yeah, so that was the main alien. So yeah, it was great cast. Really well.
Yeah, so that really is what I think makes it for me.
Yeah.
And the second one is also because of the cast, and that's Bridesmaids.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was so funny. I thought it really, was considered the first female comedy that was considered funny by mass audiences, where people were like, oh, actually it's kind of funny to watch women do funny things.
Yeah.
They made a million Hangovers, but they wouldn't make a Bridesmaids sequel, which to me just kind of speaks to the broader sexism in the industry. But I really think it was just so funny with Melissa McCarthy and Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig was fucking so funny.
Yeah.
That scene on the plane where she's intoxicated.
Oh, yeah.
It's just taken over the internet, and it's just so funny. Her performance is so good.
And I think Melissa McCarthy pretty much plays the same character now.
Oh, totally. Yeah. That character was so funny for her. She kind of created that character.
She did. Yeah.
And then she loves playing that kind of counter-feminine role, but is still really confident and cool. And I just loved it. I thought it would have been really... Because I think that movies that are just hilarious and silly, that have great casts, you can make sequels and people won't judge them too hard.
Agreed. Yeah.
And they make tons of money doing that with those stupid dude comedies.
They do.
Hangover 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 blah. But God forbid you get some
So you bring up a good
Screen.
point. So if we go back to one of the original female comedies I remember was 9 to 5. And you had the top 3 actresses at the time. And they totally could have made a sequel out of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too risky, even making a movie with only women because it's just the worst. The world is the worst.
Well, have you ever seen the original movie The Women? So that was, and there wasn't one male in the entire movie, and this was back in the 40s. So
they remade The Women.
They did, but the original from because you had Joan Crawford and all of them, and that was a great one. That was really unheard of at the time.
Yeah, and they just don't let them grow. You know what I mean? They kind of make them as a courtesy, and then they. Well,
there's the ageism factor.
Yeah, there's total ageism, sexism. Obviously, just the fact that women to this day still quote can't be funny. It's this. I think it's changing, and that's really exciting.
Oh, definitely.
But hopefully, maybe I think they've missed the opportunity now. But I feel like there's more female-dominated comedies now.
Well, they tried with Ghostbusters, and
and I think television has really
definitely.
Taken on, a lot of the female dominated shows like Glow and, Orange is the New Black and stuff. Yeah. So it's coming, I think.
Yeah. Going back, I mean, they may make another Bridesmaids. I don't know. It just depends what Kristen Wiig wants to do.
Yeah. It's just that sweet spot is gone, I think.
Yeah.
Timing is everything.
It is, and you can't wait and I've talked to Brian and Samantha about this, you can't wait too long.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes ridiculous.
Exactly. Or it just stops being socially relevant.
Yeah.
Or, the freshness is lost, that kind of stuff.
Agreed.
So
after Bridesmaids,
yeah, I had Children of Men, and this is for purely plot reasons. I love that film. Love science fiction. I think it was a book, actually. First, I never read the book. Okay. But it's just so good. Clive Owen is incredible. And they deliberately leave it pretty open-ended. And, that's Alfonso Cuarón's style. He doesn't really do sequels. You know what I mean? He creates these beautiful worlds and these kind of very elegant shots. He's very artistic. And then he deliberately, keeps the plot open for interpretation. So he would, of course, never make a sequel, and I would not want to see a non-Alfonso Cuarón sequel. Right. But I still think it's, really interesting. I want to know what happens to the race, the human race. Right. What happens next? They leave you with that glimmer of hope, she gets away, and she has a baby, and blah, blah, blah. But, it's still a militarized police state. It's still a wasteland. How does the human race recover from it? Do they recover from it? And I think that that's deliberately what we're
they
left
want you to
feel,
come up with it.
And I get it. It's, that it's art, but I'm American and I like conclusions.
I think it's not just that. I think most people like things not necessarily tied up in a bow, but they like to know.
It definitely is like an American cinematic thing to like want like a big grand finale and conclusion, and like art in general and most like films, foreign films don't approach it that way. It's just like a storytelling that doesn't have to have a conclusion. Are you okay? Are you alive? Do you need water? Did I bring my water?
On that note, I think we'll wrap it up with the top 3.
Brian, are you okay?
Enrique's taking over. Come back. All right, we're back with Samantha. Welcome back.
Hello.
So this week we're going to talk about movies that we wish had a sequel made to them. And for whatever reason, either the producers didn't feel that they could actually make a sequel out of it, or just too much time had passed and they lost their window. So I'm curious what you have to think about which sequels you wish had been made.
So I have a weird kind of relationship and opinion of sequels.
Yeah.
I usually don't go for them.
Okay.
Like, kind of the types of movies I watch and I'm interested in aren't the kinds that would really be set up for a sequel. Traditionally, like, I like a good movie, sit down, story's complete, like, that type of thing. So this is kind of, like, hard for me. So
you don't really want open-ended endings where you can kind of see...
unless it's already set up for a series.
Sure.
Like, I think, but then, like, that comes into, like, books and all the superhero stuff, like, where you know going into it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's going to be a sequel, ready for that. And, like, because I went to, like, all the Harry Potter movies because it's like, okay, I'm expecting the next one to come along, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, this is kind of hard for me because a lot of the movies I watched, I was never, like, left thinking, like, oh, I want a sequel. But thinking back, when I was a kid, one of my favorite book series was a series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was a very kind of, like, dark, creepy kids series. And they made a movie with Jim Carrey in, like, in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And let's see, I wonder when it came out. But I went and saw it in theaters. So it came out in 2004. So I was like a young teen. Yeah. And I had like read all the books already and stuff. And they had the first one that came out and it was based off of like 3 of the books. And it was set up to have the sequel to like cover the rest of the books or something, and they never made it. Oh. And I was like, I was really sad because I don't think the movie was like that
well received.
It was fine, but it maybe didn't make enough money or anything. But like the design was awesome, and yeah, like Jim Carrey was in it, and stuff, and so forever that was my like I was waiting for that next movie to come out, and it seemed like they should have because it was a book series, right? But they just never made it. I think production issues and things. But then they came out with a Netflix series.
That's interesting.
Which I have not watched because I refuse. It looks really stupid.
Oh.
So
yeah, I always find it it is a movie business, and so it definitely comes down to if it made enough money to warrant a sequel, whether it was well received or not. So that's always interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting to like take on these really hefty book series because it is something that can turn into years.
Sure.
But then if it doesn't do well, they can't invest in the rest of it.
That's
like,
right.
Not everything can be Harry Potter.
Yeah, or Twilight or...
Twilight.
But like, I love the first Jack Reacher movie, but I don't think it did as well as they had hoped, even though they did make a sequel. But there's so many Jack Reacher books they can do off of. So
so it really depends. And so yeah, that was my number 1 contribution there.
That's a good one.
And then I think another one that's actually back in the news where they might actually be making a sequel is Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
So that was just like a really fun movie, and I don't think it doesn't end like in a way that warrants a sequel, but it was a fun movie. And then, but they've been talking about it recently about bringing it back. So it could just be one of those like nostalgia sequels that is another like trend that's been happening. So I'd be interested in that sequel because like I like that movie.
Of course.
But I'll probably be underwhelmed.
Yeah, and Brian Provenzal and I were talking about this. It's hard when there's so much time that has passed to really come back with the magic.
Yeah.
Like if they had done it in 1990, maybe it could have worked. but everyone's older now. I mean, everyone's still alive, so that's good. Because one of Brian's picks was Spaceballs, but two of the main characters are dead.
Yeah.
So John Candy and Joan Rivers are dead, but at least everyone's alive, I think, for Beetlejuice. So,
yeah, I think. Yeah.
So Winona Ryder.
Did Dad just die? I think someone just died.
Alec Baldwin's still alive. Gina Davis. And then, who was the dad? Was Jeffrey Jones? I think he's still alive, but he maybe had some legal issues. And Catherine O'Hara, the stepmom. So you would definitely see.
Still alive.
Yeah.
I'd go to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it needs a sequel. I just thought of this because I was like, oh, what movies did I used to really love? But, yeah, and it was like, I think they were interviewing Winona Ryder when she was doing all of her press for, like, Stranger Things. And that came up.
Yeah.
So.
Would have been interesting if they did a sequel for Heathers.
That's coming out as a show.
Yeah.
On, some random cable channel.
Oh, really?
Is making an actual show. Yeah. They just aired. I haven't watched it yet because I'm boycotting. I don't think it's going to be very good.
Okay.
It's I think they premiered a preview at the VMAs this weekend, and it's like, I don't think it's a sequel really. It's like kind of a new version, or
Heathers,
maybe it's a continuation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been interesting to see
what her aftermath. Yeah.
Yeah, how that all panned out. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, well, those were good. Did you have any other ones? No, that was good. Okay, well, thank you, Samantha.
All right, it's taken a while, but he's back. The man with the plan. It's Malin.
Hey, everybody.
So we're gonna do Skype for this one, and so in-person interviews might be a little bit difficult now, but that's okay because Skype is just as good as in person sometimes.
Sure.
So we shall see. So this week we're going to do movies where you wish they had a sequel, but the sequel was never made.
Right. Okay, so word of warning, it feels like it's been forever since I've gotten a chance to talk to you, so I'm totally out of practice. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. So movies that I wish had a sequel. So I consider myself really super lucky this year because a couple of the things that I really wanted for a long time, and we're talking decades, to have a sequel created for, they actually happened this year. So it makes my list really, really short. But the two big, huge gifts I got this year were Trainspotting 2.
Oh, okay.
That's the first one. That's regardless of what you think of it. It's just, I'm just happy that I got it. The other one is kind of a TV show, kind of a movie thing. So I finally got, and a lot of us finally got our sequel to Twin Peaks / Mulholland Drive.
That's right.
With the new Twin Peaks series that kind of wrapped up a couple of loose ends from 25 years ago and opened up another bunch of loose ends. And I've just been totally over the moon about that in particular. That was a much more satisfying experience, actually, than the Trainspotting sequel.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't think it counts because it's a TV show.
No, it counts. Well, it does, but it doesn't. You're a longtime friend of the show, so I'll let you get away with it.
Okay, so in my defense, it was filmed as an 18-hour movie and just broken up for Showtime into episodes. So I have that on my side. So it is kind of movie, and it does play like a single unit better than it does in parts.
Got it.
Anyway, so you don't care about those things. You care about...
I want to know something that was never created as a movie.
Yeah. So, I was thinking, sequels usually lead to disappointment for me, so I'm cautious to even suggest that something get a sequel. Trainspotting 2 was a good example where I kind of went in knowing, it could disappoint me, it might not. It did. It was just kind of flat for me.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, isn't the point of a movie that the single unit, the first one, should be good enough? It's like.
No, I agree. But sometimes you want more for whatever reason.
Yeah. So I do have some where I think I could take some more. Kill Bill.
Okay.
And for Kill Bill, I think the option for a sequel was pretty clearly set up in the very early scenes in the first part. And I noticed that whole kind of vengeance cycle potentially beginning anew with Vernita Green's daughter, and Quentin Tarantino has since spoken about potentially doing a sequel where the bride comes back and has to deal with the vengeance of Vernita Green's daughter for having murdered her mother in front of her. I'm totally up for seeing that, as long as they don't cop out on the ending. I mean, if they go back there, I think there are very few paths that would go through a sequel that don't lead to the bride's death. So that could be interesting.
Sure.
Another one, Goonies. They've been talking about a Goonies sequel for decades.
That was on my list. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm so worried about them actually getting around to making it, because it's been in development hell for so long.
Oh yeah.
That it makes me think that anything that they do manage to cobble together after this many years and as many challenges as they've gone through already to get it into production, or get anything into production, I'm worried that it'll just be kind of flat.
Yeah, and I think any sequel that has taken longer than 10 years, usually they're poor.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much time, I think.
Yeah.
Passed by now. I mean, we don't want to really... I mean, yeah, the Goonies never die,
yeah.
But it doesn't really want to see them in rest homes.
That's right. Good point. Like Rocky. So.
Right. I don't know if it's going to enhance our mystique of those characters to see them as adults and battling, like, adult challenges. I'm fine with the childish fantasies that we got to see them go through.
Sure.
I think I'm okay. But you know, I would pay to see the sequel. Aside from all of that, I would still pay to see the sequel.
Oh, of course. It'd been cool to see it in 1988 as opposed to, 2017. So.
Absolutely. And then, even better, then we'll get the chance to come and bitch about it on this podcast.
Exactly.
Or praise it if it turns out to be amazing.
That's right.
So they better get their act together.
I agree. That's a good pick. Yeah.
Another one that went through development hell and I'm kind of leery about, but I would definitely pay to see, is Beetlejuice. If they actually did throw together something for that, I would see a Beetlejuice sequel. I think because more than half the characters are undead, it's definitely left open to sequel territory.
That's a good point. Samantha brought up that one too, so that's a good pick.
Ah, cool. Okay. Yeah, so that one, I mentioned that a lot of the characters are undead, so it leaves it open to sequels. One thing I realized when I was looking at a lot of my favorite movies, most of them end with a lot, if not the majority of the characters ending in death or madness. So there weren't a lot of open doors left for me, except for Goonies, Kill Bill, where at least a couple characters live, and Beetlejuice, where the dead ones are still around.
Yeah, that was a good point, because Brian had brought up Spaceballs, but two of the main characters in Spaceballs is John Candy and Joan Rivers, so that'd be kind of tough.
Yeah. Even if it's not the characters, the performers, when they pass away, you don't want to see them get replaced because they've become such iconic voices and images.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be a tough one to see Spaceballs without them.
Oh yeah.
Another one. So Barton Fink.
Mm-hmm.
The Coen Brothers have talked for a long time. I think they're just like teasing John Turturro about the possibility of creating a sequel for Barton Fink that would be called Old Fink.
Oh, really?
Absolutely love Barton Fink. I would totally see anything that develops out of that world again. That was a fun first ride. I'd love to see what they could do with it. And their filmmaking has developed so much since then. I'd like to see how that translates onto that story.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Turturro's so good in pretty much everything he's in. I think it would be a good thing.
Yeah, and so, and I'm hesitant to mention a sequel for The Big Lebowski. I've heard talk about a sequel for that. I feel really comfortable with the film as it is, but John Turturro's in that as well.
Yeah, of course, and Buscemi, but he dies, so that's
right. But there was talk. I think maybe John Turturro was just kind of self-promoting, or maybe it's serious. He was talking about like there being a spin-off for the Jesus character.
Oh, really?
Kind of, yeah, that could
be very interesting.
Yeah, I say that could be fun, kind of nervously. Like the history of that character. I don't know if I want to know that much about that one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like in TV shows when they spin off like very small characters, and sometimes it works, but a lot of times it doesn't.
Yeah. Plus, that one was like his backstory is that he was possibly a pedophile.
That could get very dark.
Yeah, maybe that's enough said about that.
Exactly.
Okay, so two more that are kind of the same thing, and then I'll end it on this. So horror anthologies. I really, really, really liked Creepshow.
Creepshow
wasn't fantastic, but I kind of always wanted them to make more Creepshows. And they did make Tales from the Dark Side, which because it's kind of a pseudo sequel to the Creepshow franchise because it has a lot of the same creatives.
Well, they did Creepshow 2, right? With all of them, right?
Yeah, they did.
And then 3 was terrible.
It was, it was more hit and miss. It had a couple of good high points, but it had more low points for sure. And Creepshow is exactly the other way around.
Right.
It had a couple of flat points, but for the most part, it way more than made up for any pitfalls that it had.
Yeah. 2
the first Creepshow is just fantastic.
Yeah, and 2 was definitely better than 3. 3 was just, I don't even know why they made it.
Oh, Creepshow 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I never watched that.
I don't think Stephen King was even involved in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody else got control of the title on it, and I don't think it had any of the same creative team, so I never did see that. But Tales from the Dark Side, that first one, it has more high points than low points. Could have been better.
Okay.
But I love horror anthologies. British studios have a bunch of horror anthologies, usually just one-offs, but yeah, I think they're usually fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, that's all I've got.
All right.
Something else that I'd want to, risk a sequel for. I think if like I said at the beginning, if anything, the filmmakers, if they were doing their job right the first time, they shouldn't need a sequel.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you as always, Malin.
Thanks.
Okay.
You're gonna have it twice.
The laugh that needs no introduction. It's Danielle.
Why I always do that?
I have no idea why.
Unbelievable.
Okay, well, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Contain yourself.
I am trying my best.
Okay, for this week's episode, we're going to, besides laughing about it, we're going to talk about movies that you wish had a sequel but never did.
Okay.
So we're going to get creative here. So movies that, you love that one movie and you wish they made another but they never did.
Okay.
So what is your list?
I have not. No, I'm kidding. Well, I don't have a favorite for that. For me, once is good. Unless it's like The Lord of the Rings, like it's you go the first one ends and you look like what's gonna happen now. So yes, does because they are a sequel.
Okay,
but
but there were ones where you wish I could have seen another movie and it would have been cool to see what happened or whatever.
So I have 2.5. So
okay, let's start with the whole ones first.
So the first one would be Leon. Is Leon?
Oh, The Professional.
Leon? Yes.
Yeah.
How is the
so
name?
there's two. It was originally came out as The Professional in the U.S., but it's really called Leon by itself or Leon the Professional.
Yeah. I think it would be nice. Yes, but it would be nice seeing Natalie Portman.
And that was her very first movie.
Yeah. So now, and she's a great actress.
She is.
I really enjoy watching her movies. The movies that she's in. So it would be nice to see what happened to her.
Because the two main stars, well, they both die. The villain's so good in that.
I would love to. I really would not be interested in what happened in between until there because that's weird. But yeah, it would be nice to know. Like I'm sure she could be back as like a professional killer.
Because that's kind of how she was being trained.
Oh, yeah. Then
they could have called it Matilda the Professional. Because that was her name.
It would be super cool if they have a sequel for that. Do I needed that?
No.
Am I sad for now? No, I'm fine. But
they could do it now. I think that would be one of the common themes we've found here is when you wait too long between sequels, it usually doesn't. It's not good.
Work,
in this case, it actually might, because she'd be an adult, and you can get into her whole backstory.
Right, it'd be super cool. But yeah,
that's a great
I
one.
The movie.
I do too.
The movie. I didn't like. I thought it was odd for the time. Like, how old was she?
She was like 12, 13.
And she was exposed in the movie to a lot of things. So I was like, wow.
Yeah.
How, I don't know what's the year that movie was
93, 94.
But it was like, whoa, no parenting control.
No, but it's a great movie. And her own parents weren't great parents anyway, so.
Yeah, that would be
great movie. Yeah, good pick.
So the other one would be Unbreakable.
Okay.
Is Unbreakable the name? Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson?
Yes, Unbreakable.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I think it's inspired in a comic book.
It is.
So you have Mr. Glass and
the guy who can't.
Yeah, it's the green cape, right?
Yeah.
The guy in the green, something like that. So I don't get it, the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still wondering, like, what happened there? Like,
I think they're in talks to actually make a sequel for this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In talks. I don't know if they're good.
Yeah. No, I think it would be nice to see what happened with Bruce Willis after. Because the guy, the Samuel L. Jackson, we know he's bitter and, he's going to be like, I know. But with Bruce Willis, he walk on the street and doing what? So I think the sequel would go him like becoming a superhero or something like that.
And most superhero movies lend themselves to being sequels, so that's another great pick.
Right?
Yes.
That would be cool. I like that movie actually.
I do too. It came after The Sixth Sense, so he was kind of the director was doing well at the time.
Oh, that's true. And it was like very dark.
Oh yeah.
Like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So that was loud. Yes, I remember at the time I didn't like as much because it was just after Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
And it was like two similar movies from him, like this dark person, but then I watched it again a few other times, like a lot of times.
And it's better, yeah.
And it came like, oh, now it's nice. Oh, I like this scene. I like this scene. And you start like understanding more. So yeah, I think that could have a sequel too. Can I leave it without? Yes. But if they do, I won't be mad.
You won't be mad, yes. But those are good picks. But we're getting creative here, so I'm glad you came up with two. Now, what is your half?
So my half would be like, I keep like fighting over these on my head alone.
I'm glad you really put a lot of thought into this.
No, but once in a while when I watch this movie, actually, I really like it.
Okay.
And I've talked about it a few times here. It's Seven.
Oh,
I think it would be nice. I don't know why. What happened with Brad Pitt after?
Well, he's arrested, but you don't know if he's convicted. You don't know.
Exactly. So the movie was so intense. The entire movie is amazing. It's intense from the beginning to the end, right? Because sometimes the movie is super intense and we lose, and then this one, like at the very ending, you have that scene, and I wasn't expecting for that.
No, a lot of people weren't.
So it would be interesting to know what now, what happened to him and to what's the name of the other?
Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do they still friends?
Sure.
Is him fighting for, what happened? So
the other option could be you could also do a prequel and you have Kevin Spacey back and you get into his whole story.
Kevin Spacey. Yes. That would be better.
Leading up to Seven.
Kevin Spacey's the best
he makes
actor.
The movies. No, he makes the movie. I mean, Morgan Freeman's amazing. And actually, Brad Pitt's very good in it. But you could do it leading up, too. That would be interesting. Almost like Hannibal.
Oh, I have another movie.
Oh, go ahead.
Is this you said Kevin Spacey. I love him.
Is this a whole or a half?
It's half.
Okay.
So half and half one because Kevin Spacey link both.
Okay.
I don't know the name. That's interesting. K-Pax?
K-Pax, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because, the movie is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's not amazing, but him, it's great. I love movies with him.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what would you do for the sequel?
Because I didn't understand if he's an alien or not. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the sequel would explain what happened with him after. Because he is there quite catatonic, right? Is that how to say? So they could like kind of explain us what happened. Is the guy disillusional or what happened to him? So yes, but I think mostly it's because it's Kevin Spacey and I really like him.
And you like him. So you would do a sequel for every Kevin Spacey.
I don't like
Just keep going. All right, those are great picks. 3.5 picks, 3.5 stars.
No.
What?
3. Oh my god. 3.
3. So you said 3.5.
Movies. 1, 2 full and 2 halves.
Oh, okay.
So
fine.
1 half plus.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize K-Pax was a half.
It's half.
Okay.
Just make sure you.
Thank you for explaining math to me.
All right. That's my job.
Until next week. Thank you, Danielle. Sure. Okay, it's been far too long, but we got the dynamic duo back of Lindley and Stephanie. Welcome back, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
See, this is why you sit by the mic, because nobody can hear you.
I get on and I have stage fright. I don't want to be too loud.
She's only been on 50 episodes, folks, but it's like the first time, every time. All right, for this week's episode, we're going to talk about movies where you wish they had a sequel, but for whatever reason, they were never made. So we're going to have to get creative, and you're going to have to go into why you wish this particular movie had a sequel. And we'll start with Stephanie, because when we stage fright.
I have a good one. I have such a good one, and it's one I wanted a sequel for forever, and that's Gone with the Wind.
Oh, okay.
Gone with the Wind needed a sequel because it just so much is left unresolved in that, and also because of like that, especially right now in our culture, because of all of that, love of the Confederate flag and the South bullshit, and the sort of romanticizing the South. It's interesting, right? It would be so cool to do a sequel.
That the ultimate romanticization of the South?
No,
Gone with the Wind?
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's why you need a sequel, right? Because Rhett walks away from Scarlett.
That's right.
I would too.
And
she's annoying.
She was horrible.
She was a horrible human being. Why is she loved?
Like, if she can just see the light. And anyways, I think it could be brilliant. And the bummer is just that Margaret Mitchell, so I did some research on this, and Margaret Mitchell, I think she passed away, and her estate got a ghostwriter to write the sequel.
Right.
So I was reading some of the excerpts from the book, and they get back together again. At the towards. So maybe I'm giving it away.
Well, no. You can definitely at this point. Come on,
No spoiler alert here.
But it's not good enough. So yes, that's what I want. I want a really great indie director.
4 hours wasn't enough for you need.
Person of color to write the sequel to Gone with the Wind. I think it's the movie America is waiting for. Top that.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Well, I have a lot of standard ones. Okay, I'll go back in time.
We'll go back and forth. So you get one.
I'll go back to since you said Gone with the Wind, I'll go back to my oldest dated movie, which is Giant. I would really love just to have even today, if they did a Giant, it would be like the grandparents of their grandchildren of the children of their children. I would love to see that. Like, how has Texas changed? Like, this old oil family, like, what's happened?
So you're going with the two epics, because Giant's about 4 hours, too.
Yeah, Giant's a big epic. It's just my favorite movie, so I could live in that universe all the time, right? So
who would you get to play?
They would all be.
So who would be the grandparent? So who would play the role of James Dean?
Well, he would probably be dead by now of alcoholism, right?
Well, no.
No, so I'm saying if it's
if you're having a remake,
James
or not a remake, but a sequel.
If you're saying maybe there was a sequel
in the
60s.
Okay,
so
he
were
would
all still here.
Yeah.
Rock Hudson, Liz Taylor. Who would play James Dean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I have no idea.
Could have been Sal Mineo.
No, not Sal Mineo.
Well, they say Ryan Gosling is the James Dean of this era. I mean, it doesn't do it for me, but even my kids love Ryan Gosling. Which is
I'm not
weird.
saying that he just doesn't have any of the James Dean. I mean, he's just like a vanilla-looking actor. He's fine. He's a handsome.
It would have been really interesting if he survived, because the whole mystique around him is, that he had 3 movies. He was in 3 great movies, and that was it. I mean, it's almost like John Cazale, the guy who played Fredo.
Yeah.
He was in 4 amazing movies, the two Godfathers.
And dated Meryl Streep.
And
I think they lived together.
Deer
they were
Hunter.
engaged, right? They were engaged.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
He
died of cancer.
He did.
He's a little bit
but he was in 4 movies
tragic.
and they're all classics.
Yeah.
But that happens to all musicians too. Like Elvis became more popular after he died. Kurt Cobain would be just like Eddie Vedder now if he had survived. But there's nothing wrong with Eddie Vedder.
Right.
But he wouldn't have been a legend.
Right.
Like, would you want to see Jimi Hendrix now? Like, I don't know. But the mystique of him always being 27 years old is cool.
Jimi Hendrix would probably have a restaurant.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
In various...
Be touring.
Like B.B. King's House of Blues.
Exactly.
Or, something like that.
You could pay $5,000 and meet him backstage and everything. So, speaking of that, I'm going off on a tangent here. Gene Simmons is releasing this box set. Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Yeah.
So
you like Gene Simmons?
I love Kiss. So.
But Gene Simmons,
he's fine. Like you have to kind of take it as it is.
He's a horrible human being, but okay, go ahead.
Oh, I don't. He just has the long tongue, right?
Yeah, but he sells everything. But he's not. I mean, he's capitalism. That's what he is. So
no, I don't care about him selling things.
So
I think he just has a huge ego.
Oh, he has to. Anyone that's.
But you can't not be. You have to have a giant ego if you're in Kiss
to be that successful. Yeah.
No,
most successful people.
Else. He's unpleasant. He has a giant ego. And
well, that's
unpleasant.
true. Yeah.
You can have a giant ego and be pleasant.
Now you're ruining the day. You just
sorry. Okay, go ahead.
But this is why we do this. So you say you have nothing to say, but we always have something to say.
When it comes to Gene Simmons, don't get me started.
So you can buy this box set that's huge. It's 40 pounds. It comes with 10 CDs and all these crazy things. But he's going to hand deliver it to you. So for $2,000, you can go meet him at a specific location. Wow. And you can get all this.
So many people would do that.
I know.
Right? Yeah. Are you considering it?
I don't think so because how am I going to take it back? Or you could do the $25,000 one, and you get more time. Or for $50,000, he'll come to your house and hand over. So that's what I'm thinking. What would happen to Jimi Hendrix and James Dean? They would be doing stuff like this now. Like, could you ever imagine?
I mean, Liz Taylor and Rock Hudson did fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they're still screen legends.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything to.
But that's the new model.
To sully that.
That's the new business model. It's all these meet and greets. So like, you go to any show now, you can pay the $1,000 and meet your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think modern day artists, they do so much. They're so much more savvy about negotiating and making sure that they get more of the money from their work than I think these guys were able to do back in the day.
They signed their contract.
Nobody was really aware of the distribution channel and where the real money was made.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of these guys, and also, in the heyday of their lives, they were probably blowing their money and of didn't really have a handle on where their money was. Yeah. They weren't handling it responsibly, so it makes sense, right?
And the model's completely changed. There's no money in record sales anymore. Now it's touring. Right. In addition to touring, you can do these meet and greets. So if you have the money as a fan, it's cool. Like how much would you pay to meet Bono?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I would definitely, if there was $2,000.
Yeah.
That's all it was, where I could go someplace and Bono would hand deliver my 40-pound thing. I don't even care what it is. I would gladly write that check.
So anyway, we'll get back on topic here, but this is why I like having these discussions. We'll go back to Stephanie. What are the other movies?
So this is really timely because we just watched it yesterday, and I knew then Casablanca.
Yeah.
Again,
they kind of did make a sequel. I thought.
Really?
It wasn't like Rick's Cafe or something like that, or was that a TV show?
Oh, I don't know.
That is something, isn't it? I don't know.
But anyway, that's
But I just again, it's just two people who I thought should be together and can't be together for reasons that make all the sense in the world, and yet I want a sequel to explore those reasons and to see what happens. I mean, do they meet again later? Does the guy, the what's his name, the hero, the reason they can't be together?
So it's Paul Henreid is
Paul
the
Henreid.
actor,
So maybe he dies, and then she's a widow. You remember at Scorsese's Age of Innocence, where finally Michelle Pfeiffer and Daniel Day-Lewis can be together? It's at the very, very end after Winona Ryder dies, right? Winona Ryder dies, and then she's up in the thing, and he's going to go upstairs to see her, but he never goes up to see her. He just kind of walks in the courtyard. I love Age of Innocence. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. And he never goes up to see her, right? Even though he had that chance. And so just with Casablanca, you wonder, like, if something like that could happen where Paul Henreid dies and they have this chance to see one another again, and maybe they're in America somehow, some way. You get to see them in America. I just think, oh my gosh, that's the movie.
They are in America when they're filming.
I want made. Or maybe you do some sort of treatment with their children. Again, you have to be careful with that.
Sure.
Or their grandchildren, or where they're going and they're exploring the history.
Yeah.
Maybe, Oh, it'd be so good.
I guess in 1943, this is after Casablanca came out, there was a sequel that was going to be called Brazzaville, and it was supposed to be intended to reveal that Rick and Renault had been secret ally operatives all along. And then they scrapped that. So, I don't know, maybe they were on to other things. But that would have been interesting. So.
Yeah, no, for me, it's always about the love affair. I always want, like, when love is unrequited like that.
Big on love.
I need, it just bugs me for a while.
That's
yes,
right. Top that.
Take that.
And Casablanca. So I said The Graduate.
That was on my list.
That was on your list.
Yeah, because I always wanted to know.
Great. Yeah, what happens?
Yeah, because they're on the bus, and that's it.
And then it's bad. It's
ominous, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it looks ominous.
They probably get off on the next stop,
and
that's it.
What am I doing? Right. So, what happens there?
So, where would you have it go? Where would you want to see?
I don't know. I don't have any aspirations of them being together or not. It was a very, he's having the affair with the mother,
right?
And then and isn't even into this
Catherine
woman
Ross
throughout most of the movie, right? He's a total ass to her. So I don't know that they would necessarily need to be together, but it would be.
He hooks up with Mrs. Robinson again?
I don't see it as romantic in any way.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's more of a funny ending.
Does he keep having an affair with, or does
Mrs.
he marry
Robinson.
her and then they have that between them? The Mrs. Robinson piece between them, her mother.
I think she ends up with Mel Brooks.
Wait, what? Oh, she does end up with Mel Brooks. Sorry, I'm like, wait. Yeah. Yes, she does.
Okay, back to Steph.
That's good. That's very good. Okay, so the other one, I think this could have been a franchise. I think Spielberg missed out, is Goonies.
Oh, absolutely.
I have Goonies on my list. Yeah.
I love the world that Goonies was in. I loved everything about it, and I wanted those kids to go on more adventures.
Sure.
Desperately. And I just thought, my gosh, you could have taken them. I thought, because they win the treasure, right? Then maybe they get flown to some exotic country to meet people, and they get paid, and then they stumble upon a new mystery with kids from another culture.
Sure.
And then you get to see what the 80s looked like in Japan, or what the 80s looked like in India, or I think that could have been like the Fast and Furious. You could have had 6 of those until the kids got too old for it.
But you wouldn't want to make the same mistake as the Karate Kid,
right?
Because then they basically have the same one, but they go to Okinawa and it doesn't work.
Well, but I loved Karate Kid Part 2.
You did?
She also loved Grease too.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I loved Grease.
Well, we'll get into movies we did, sequels we don't, but that's good. I think everyone has mentioned, a lot of people have mentioned Goonies, because they keep talking about doing it as adults. And
talking about doing a sequel,
And one of the common themes here is don't wait too long, because it's never good.
No, never as adults. The magic of it is the 80s.
Yeah.
And the kids.
Yeah.
And, that's because it's just, the 80s are magical.
Story,
They were.
Just before technology takes over our lives.
Yeah.
And it's like that last moment of, internet-free living, and it was different. And I'm not necessarily saying it was better.
No.
I just have a nostalgia for it. And so
have
I would
you
have liked
watched
to see
Stranger
more.
Things?
Yes, I love Stranger Things.
So you should watch Stranger Things, because it invokes all of this.
Yeah.
Goonies.
That's why we're saying the Goldbergs is so good, because they have an episode where he tries to go on an adventure to find these lost pearls for his grandfather, played by George Segal.
Yeah.
And he's like his own little Goonie thing.
Yeah.
So,
but I still think American movie making, this summer was like a total bust.
Oh, totally.
For show business. And I just I wish that they would really learn from mistakes. I mean, animated films have their place. We love them.
Yeah.
They should continue. But where are the good kid buddy movies?
They're now on TV.
They never
are on Amazon,
it's
Netflix.
Cheaper.
Their original.
Just makes me mad.
I think they're costing those companies a lot of money, but that's where the competition is.
We would like to
you
go
have
to the
more
movies.
You have more creative freedom than they do if they have to pitch like a blockbuster like that. I think that's the message for all of the writers or people trying to pitch these, is that they have much more freedom on these type of Hulu, Netflix, Amazon.
I think it's such a missed opportunity.
HBO.
Yep.
These Disney, because the Disney kids that are all stars and the Nickelodeon kids that are all stars, my kids want to see these kids.
Yeah.
We want to go to the movies and see more movies. And these kids can be in these crazy adventure films. And we would all show up to see those things.
Yeah.
And I think there could be great themes.
Oh, yeah.
Lessons learned. I just feel like it has to be science fiction or Marvel
or remake.
Ever since Will Smith said the top. Remember, Will Smith was quoted as saying the top 5 highest grossing pictures ever. They all have this science fiction element.
They do. Yeah.
And so without that, you can't. And I disagree. Goonies was an amazing film.
Yeah. Or at least, because you just don't see
I mean, I keep looking every week at what's new that's coming out, and nothing. I mean,
out,
the biggest one recently was It, that just came out, but that's a remake, and there's a horror movie, and before that was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all superheroes, and that's it.
Yeah.
But and eventually, people are going to get burnt out with superheroes. I think they already are.
Yeah,
so,
they are.
yeah.
It's a lost opportunity. Let's open up our own production company, Plan C.
I do not want to see movies with the Disney actors, though. No, we would disagree completely.
They can come up with new stars.
Whatever it is. It can be YouTubers. I don't know what it is.
I'm really happy with the original content coming out on Netflix and Amazon and all those shows. Like, I think it's amazing. We are in the era of TV right now. Like, it's an amazing time. Not for movies though.
Movies they're in trouble. Like, they better figure something out. So,
because I just feel like going to the movies is a completely different thing. Like,
it is.
When you're home on a Friday night, getting 4 people, because we're a family of 4, right? I've got 2 kids and a husband. Getting all 4 of us to agree to sit down to watch one thing is really, really hard.
Yeah.
But when you go to the movies, it's different, right? We're all going to go see this movie. We're going to get popcorn. We're all going to sit together in the Stark Theater, and we're going to experience this thing together.
And the theaters are getting better, as we found out. So if the product was good, it would be amazing.
Because grown-ups, we can get wine now. We can sit back and relax in Barca loungers.
Yep.
We're happy. So, like, bring the content, people.
But I get more excited, and it's happening, watching old movies, older movies.
Really great.
Yeah, and in a luxurious theater.
I'm totally happy there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. So she said Goonies. What
I will say next Breakfast Club.
Okay, where would you want them to go?
I mean, I think you could get all of the actors back today. What are they doing? None of them have outgrown.
So you wouldn't want to do it like 2 years later, or at least.
So they were supposed to. That's what.
Like he was going to be.
They were going to do it 10 years later.
Okay.
But I think now, why not just have all of those actors? They're all still alive. They're not in hot demand anymore, right? I mean.
No, none of them.
None of them are, right?
Totally should have done a 10-year high school reunion.
Yeah.
But I think they could do it now, and it would be so. I would watch that.
Everybody would, but you won't get Emilio Estevez. He wants to be taken seriously now.
Yeah, maybe Emilio Estevez. He's doing the documentaries.
Yeah, everyone else I think would be good. Though I heard, who was the guy that played Brian? Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall.
He was arrested for something like a neighborly dispute, so he probably needs the cash. No, it would have been interesting because Bender was going to be suspended for the next 10 weeks, so you could have done something with that.
Just followed up
exactly.
The next year, senior year. Were they still friends after? Did they stay in touch?
What happened with the vice principal?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, back to Stephanie.
Yeah, so the other one I've always wanted a sequel for, and I waited and waited, and it never happened, was Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting is one of my favorite films of all time, and I really wanted to know what happened, mainly to the Ben Affleck character, and because you just really, is he really just going to be a construction worker for the rest of his life? I just think no, there was something really. That guy was really smart, and the Matt Damon character was going to come back and get him, and he, maybe he could have been the salesman, or I don't know, something. I wanted something great to happen for the Affleck character, and then I wanted to see how Matt used his gift, how responsibly he chose to use his gift, and does he use it for evil, and what happens to that whole community.
Or maybe he likes being a construction worker, and it's like Office Space, and they like doing that.
Yeah.
That's one I could use.
No, just that scene.
That was one of my things.
When they're building they're in the rocks, and they're crushing the rocks, and it's just, he gives them that whole speech about, the best part of my day is when I knock on the door and maybe, just maybe, you're not going to be there, because this is a waste of your time. But it was also, what was going to happen to you?
Yeah.
Could you have been something more had you, been given the space to dream? I think it would have made an amazing movie.
That's a good one. Always pick that. Yeah. Back to Lindley.
My other on my list was Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite movies. Would love to have watched Winona Ryder grow up in that house with the ghosts or whatever. Another 10 years later.
Aren't they talking about making a sequel now?
I think they're talking about it now.
Yeah.
And that both Alec Baldwin and Winona Ryder are game. I don't know about Tim Burton.
And you need Michael Douglas. Not Michael Douglas.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
No, sorry. Michael Keaton is
game,
totally game. I think it's Tim Burton who is the holdout.
I love that Michael Keaton's kind of having a resurgence. He's in a lot of cool things. Like he was the best villain in the Spider-Man, the recent Spider-Man, and he's playing the American Assassin's coming out.
I forgot how good he is. Yeah. Mr. Mom would be another good.
Oh, I love Mr. Mom. I just watched it not too long ago. But,
so good.
Yeah.
It is good.
Okay, so we'll wrap this one up, and then.
I had others.
Oh,
do you have others?
Wow.
Okay, let's keep going.
Usual Suspects.
Yeah, but so you want to see what happens to Kaiser Sose?
Yeah, I wanted to know. Now you know it's Kaiser Sose. What's going on after
I almost picked that, but I'm thinking like the mystique of just the ending.
Well, the ending is one of the best endings
it is
ever, but then the fact that that's Kaiser Sose, I mean, I would love to watch it then from someone else's perspective. I don't know.
Or would you want a prequel of like the lead up to Kaiser Sose?
Maybe a prequel, that would be
kind of fun.
Prequel is also fine.
It was just almost a cop-out, but I get why they do it, because then you kind of leave the original story alone, and then...
Exactly.
But no, that's good. And do you have any other ones?
I had Galaxy Quest.
I picked that one too.
Yeah, the Galaxy Quest was really good. I don't love Tim Allen, but I thought that was just like
Alan Rickman now. Alan
Rickman.
I've never seen this movie.
Oh, you got to see. You'd love it.
Your kids would like it too. It's totally fun.
Super fun.
Watch it with your girls. It's a really
Sigourney Weaver's really funny.
Anything with Alan Rickman, sign me up.
He's good. Sigourney Weaver. Sam Rockwell.
Oh yeah, Sam Rockwell. I forgot about that.
And then the aliens are great.
Sam Rockwell's like the young guy.
He is,
right?
yeah.
He's really young.
Cool.
And then the aliens are really good.
Oh, perfect.
So check that out. All right.
Watch Galaxy Quest. Okay,
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, we're back with Josephine, and we know when we hear stuff in the background, it's with Josephine. This time no more Pete's Coffee. No more of the French place. Yes.
French,
we're in Campbell, California at Barefoot Coffee recording the podcast. So welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so this week we're going to talk about movies that you wish had a sequel, and for whatever reason they never decided to do it, or maybe it's still in the works, we don't know, but it just hasn't happened yet.
My top pick, I wish it were in the works. I think probably not. It's Sound of Music.
Okay, yeah.
With Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. I always, even when I saw it when I was 4, I wanted a sequel right then and there.
Yeah.
Because do they make it? Do they get captured? What happens?
Right.
And I mean, you can't just show them going over some mountain. Like, do they have food? Do they have water? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, I want to know. I need to know. I need to know that the Von Trapp kids are okay.
So that's how you would do that sequel, like
what happened to them, and because I really feel like the movie goes from being about Maria to being about her with the kids,
right.
So it opens up her world, and she makes such a huge transition from the beginning to the end, and I want to see more of who she is.
Right.
She in the beginning she's just kind of a little bit flighty, really confused, and in the end she's just very stable, grounded, kind of authority figure and role model.
Yeah.
And she's found her place, and you don't see enough of that until the Nazis are after them.
I know.
So
well, it's also you love the movie so much, you can't get enough of it, and you want more, and it's over.
Yeah. I mean, now they're this like warm, fuzzy family, and I want more of that.
Yeah, I get that. That's a good pick. We'll see if other people pick that one too. So you do have a few more.
I have a few more. So the other one is Defending Your Life.
Yeah, great movie.
The ending. What happens?
Yeah.
Is Daniel still neurotic? And because even though Albert Brooks' character is this like neurotic screwball, I think some people that are critical of the ending were like, well, how could they ever really be together, because Meryl Streep's character is so kind of warm and cool. I think they'll make it work.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be together.
Right.
But I would love to know what is that next level. And what in that life, like what is their next challenge? Because if this life is all about getting over your fears, what's the next level like, and how will they fare? And I love that movie.
That would be, I would love it, because I think it's one of the more underrated films a lot of people haven't seen, but it's a brilliant movie.
Yeah, I think some people that have heard of it, it's through Adam Carolla, and I think it's one of those movies that people are like, oh yeah, I've heard of it, I want to see it, and they never see it.
Right.
But yeah.
I wonder if it had been more of a box office success, instead of a cult film, if they would have done it. I don't know if it lends itself to it.
So I remember at that time, I think I read somewhere that Meryl Streep was known mostly for doing these like dramatic, sad, Sophie's Choice kind of roles, and in this role she wanted to prove that she could be this very kind of warm, romantic comedy person.
Oh, she can do anything. She can do normal.
Anything. She's so fantastic in that movie.
She is, and so is Albert Brooks. So,
and Rip Torn. And,
yeah. So next, Rip Torn. I should have picked him as one of my favorite character actors. He is great. I forgot all about him.
Okay, maybe we can edit this out. I heard so many weird shit about him as like a person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like weird stories. But anyway, talk
No, I want to hear now. What are some of the words?
Later.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll go to next movie then.
Okay. You know what? I can't get enough of Jesse and Celine.
Ah, okay.
I can't quit them. I want to see what happens in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, are they still together?
Yeah.
Like, what's up? Like, so I want a fourth.
Before movie.
Yeah, the before movies. I want a fourth, and then what else do I want to see? More. Oh, Ex Machina.
Oh, yeah,
What
yeah.
happens? I mean, he's gonna die, right?
Yeah.
He's just
I
gonna
haven't
die
seen
slowly.
it, so,
Maybe he'll become some super genius,
machine, yeah.
some super genius, and develop a machine, an android that can break him out of that beautiful compound in the woods. Spy.
Yes,
I'm a
Melissa McCarthy.
fan.
Yeah.
And the first one, I felt like it's a legit action comedy.
Yeah.
That can stand on its own.
And they left it like you could totally have a sequel for that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I love Jason Statham's character. I
do
heard
too.
that they were going to make a spin-off with his character.
That'd be great. He's my man crush. Like I can watch anything with him in it. So yeah.
So yeah, I think Patton Oswalt years ago he wrote a blog post called "Gatham for Statham" about how he'll watch anything
with him in it.
Yeah.
There's something about him. Like he's just that cool. He can kick anyone's ass at any time, but he's cool about it. You know, there's something really neat about him.
And then in Spy, he proved he could be super funny.
Yes.
He was perfect in Spy.
He was.
Yeah.
What about Heat? Could you see one? The Heat with Sandra
Heat.
Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. I could see another movie with that.
I could see a movie with that. It didn't. I don't think it did that well. It did like middling, kind of, right?
Yeah. Paul Feig always kind of has this weird, like, people like him, but his movies don't necessarily do real well.
Yeah, but So with him and Melissa McCarthy, I saw Bridesmaids and I saw The Heat and Spy, and I left them in descending order. So Spy is my favorite.
Yeah.
The Heat I love.
Yeah.
I laughed more at The Heat than I did at Bridesmaids.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but I thought The Heat was just hilarious.
Yeah.
I laughed a lot at that.
Totally.
But yeah, I could see a sequel with that.
Okay.
And I like Sandra Bullock a lot.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
What else? Oh, the one I love. That was a weird movie.
Is that a foreign film?
No, it's with Elizabeth Moss, I want to say.
Okay.
And it's where this couple, their therapist is like, hey, go to this cabin. They're having problems, so their therapist advises them to like kind of get away at this like cabin. So they go to the cabin, and it gets crazy after that. It's not scary at all.
Okay.
But it's left very ambiguous, and you're not, and it's makes me scared to be in a relationship, honestly.
She's going through her list of movies she's seen.
Letterboxd, which I bet you still haven't.
I know. I think I should do it.
I love the diaries thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are great picks. Let's see if people choose Sound of Music, because I think that's a beloved film, and
Yeah, it's the natural choice.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Josephine. All right, Janice and Sarah are back, and we're going to talk about our.
We still need a name.
Sold.
Gary Sinise doesn't
no,
work.
No, we just have to come up with a good name.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know, like something that like a band would be. I don't know. Maybe.
Sarah Bear.
No, I can't. Because it takes too much effort to have to introduce us full like Sarah and Janice. How lazy are we?
Yeah, no.
I know. Well, something will come to me. What's the topic today?
The Gruesome Twosome would like to talk about. We're gonna go with movies The
Wonder Twin Powers activate.
The Wonderkins.
Yeah.
All right. For this week, what are we talking about? We're going to talk about our favorite, movies that we wish that would be sequels.
Right.
That had a sequel.
Thank you. Yeah.
She has to run this.
And
this
so
episode.
Janice definitely has one, so we're going to start with her first.
I just happened to see this movie on TV the other day, which was Spanglish.
Yep.
With Adam Sandler.
There's a movie about a slang of a language. What is it about?
It's about this very attractive, kind of like a Penelope Cruz wannabe.
Yep.
Okay.
Lookalike. She wants to help her daughter get a better life, and so she goes to work for a house in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Adam Sandler's a dad. Téa Leoni is the crazy bitch wife.
Right.
Is he like a super successful plastic surgeon or
no,
something?
No, he's a chef. He owns his own restaurant.
Okay.
And so she starts the movie off not speaking a word of English.
Right. Paz Vega.
Paz, thank you.
Yeah.
Her name is Paz Vega.
I'm telling you, it sounds like an illness.
It's like Bell's palsy.
As the movie progresses, she starts to learn English, and I think that hence Spanglish titled movie.
Okay.
Right.
But the whole underlying story is the fact that Téa Leoni is a crazy bitch and is having an affair on Adam Sandler.
Yep.
And Adam Sandler and Paz Vega, you could feel the sexual tension between those two,
Right.
and that they're getting closer and closer and closer, but they're fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the movie ends, and she ends up quitting her job. And I'm sorry, I'm left wanting to find out if he leaves the crazy bitch wife, and then maybe 10 years later they run into each other somewhere, and they are finally, because she's a good Catholic woman, so
Right.
he wanted to kiss her, and she wouldn't even let him kiss her. So it's like, I would love to see what happened between those two, if given the opportunity.
It's one of the few Adam Sandler movies that one doesn't have a happy ending, and is actually kind of dark. I mean,
Really?
Punch Drunk Love was really dark for him.
Right, I didn't
which
see
you
that
probably
one.
like that one, because it's unlike any...
Otherwise they're goofy.
Yeah.
For a second, when
it's a
you're
very-
describing that, it reminded me of Down and Out in Beverly Hills with
Okay.
McNulty.
Yes.
Did you see that one?
Yes, and Richard
But
Dreyfuss.
it's just a very real movie. I mean,
Right.
of what would actually probably happen in real life.
I
You know, it
respect
didn't
the
have-
fact that it didn't end good. Or
I mean, it
like
didn't
that.
end bad. It just like you were left wanting to know could
What
these
happens?
two have
Right.
worked out? Kind of like the whole, which I love, that they went back and made two more of them with the what is it, Before Sunset, After.
Yes, yeah,
What?
the trilogy.
No, After Sun or Before. What is it? There's
What
like
movies are
Before
these?
Midnight,
It's like
After
Before Sunrise.
Before Sunset.
So Julie
and then-
Delpy.
Yes,
Yeah.
and with Ethan
Ethan
Hawke.
Hawke, yeah.
What movies are these?
Oh my God!
It's a trilogy.
It's
Oh.
a trilogy. It didn't start it that way
No.
though. It started with an original, and it was an indie hit.
Mhm.
And then they.
And it's called.
I want
It's,
to.
it's like the Before trilogy, basically, yeah.
I want to say it's called. The original is called Before Sunset. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, not Before Midnight.
Or Before Midnight. It could be Before Midnight.
I've never seen it. I'm just trying to take notes.
I will-
people.
I
People
will
have
give
talked
you the
about it in
names.
this podcast,
Okay.
so yeah.
I will find names for you, but it was such a great movie. You were left wondering when the first one ended. What happened? What happened?
Yeah.
Well, like 5 years later, they decided to go write the second one, and so it covered the next chunk. And then you were left wondering again, what happened? Do they get together?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
they finally finished off with the third one, and it was just like it was so satisfying to see it. So it's kind of like that. You finally got your satisfaction in knowing what
I
happened.
just watched something the other day where I was like, oh!
So I just thought of one, like, the ending to Sideways is super ambiguous. I kind of like
I
to see
never
what
saw
happened
that.
to him.
I didn't
Because-
see that. Something about that Paul Giamatti guy bugged me.
See, I think you'd like
I
it because
love
it's...
Paul Giamatti.
Does he? Okay, so what is that about? It's like wine.
So he's
something
a
happened?
writer, but
Okay.
he goes on this like weekend trip with his crazy buddy.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, but he was on Wings. Who was the
Yeah,
guy
I don't
on
know the
Wings?
guy's name.
Oh,
either.
okay. I think
it's a 3-name guy.
Yeah, I don't
I know.
know
Why
his
do they gotta
name.
waste so much time?
Yeah. But
Um,
he's super fun. He kind of steals the show in that movie. There's some really funny scenes.
And so, what does it need a sequel for?
The ending is completely ambiguous. Like
Oh, okay.
he not to give it away, but you don't know what happened. So I'd like to have
Yeah.
kind of see what happens.
Oh, you know what? There's movies like that. Well, that's a different story. But
Yeah.
we're wishing for a sequel on this one.
So now that we've talked about Spanglish and Sideways, both S movies.
I want to say like half of the movies that I see that I'm still kind of like, can we do this again? Can we keep going?
Yeah.
Except for Martin Scorsese movies, because those are long enough to have been a sequel and an original
Has
in
he
one.
done any sequel before?
I don't know. It's all the same. He could have do a trilogy in the amount of time that it takes for one of his
Yeah.
movies. It's like that could have been broken down into 3 movies.
That's true.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
true.
you have to appreciate he's not milking the audience going.
No,
for
and
him.
you know what the thing is, when it's a movie that I really enjoy, like Casino, I could watch that forever.
Sure.
Well-
There's other movies that I'm like totally fine with that.
Well, at least think about it this way. At least you're getting your money's worth out of the $25 you now spend
Oh,
just
yeah.
to see the movie.
Right. If I went to the movie theater, I am
Yeah.
instead pirating stuff off of the internet. And I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm just paying $1,000 a month for every cable and every online
Yeah.
streaming shit
Yeah.
just to watch Weekend at Bernie's because that's all that's available.
Thank you, by the way. So I'm enjoying.
are you?
I'm enjoying the fuckface
Are you?
profile that you
so
have on Netflix.
I have Netflix, and I told and there was stuff we were talking during the podcast. I'm all, oh, you haven't seen that? He goes, no, and I'm all, well, don't you have Netflix? He's all, no, and I'm
you
all,
guys are
what?
Weekend at Bernie's?
No.
No.
Oh,
But
I was
there
gonna
were
say,
certain things.
why my mind
he
was
didn't-
about to explode.
There's
for a second
series or
there.
something that he didn't have, and I'm like, get on Netflix.
It was Stranger
So
Things,
I'm
yeah.
I'm like, just jump on mine, right? And then I think there was a time like he was watching it, which he never did, but
Yeah.
I went to go. We have different hours, but anyway,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay the $2 and have it, whatever. I
Yeah.
don't care. And so I make him his own profile on there with like a little character, a little picture, whatever. So much so, this guy was over here. He's all, "Was Brian your ex-husband?" I'm all, "What?" He's all, "It's on your Netflix." I'm all, "No, that's my friend." He's all, "Okay."
That's weird.
And I'm like, "Yeah." He's all, "Whatever." So anyway, I was telling Brian about how like the stuff that they suggest for you sometimes on Netflix. It's like, what? So I made a third profile called Fuckface, and I told him, I go, "You tell your girl." Anytime you want to just watch some random shit, go to the Fuckface profile. Because I want to see what they throw at us. If they keep throwing us the same stuff that we're getting, we know that this whole algorithms is some bullshit.
Got it.
So how's Fuckface doing?
Yeah, I have only watched one thing on Fuckface, I think. But I have to go back on there and click and see what else is going on.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want, hop on there too.
Fuckface. Okay.
Yeah, because then if you watch like 2 minutes of a movie and I'm like, oh, it's subtitles, and then I'm like, great, now all they're giving me is like Mexican soap opera movies.
Spanglish.
Right. Oh, that's right. So
okay, so now that we've kind of
gone off topic again,
can you think of any movies that you wish, or do you have any other ones?
Oh gosh.
It's one of those things that you're watching and you're like, why is this ending right now? But after that moment passes...
Were there any 80s movies that you guys love that never made a sequel?
There's movies that would be great to know what happened to them. Like, you know what? Whatever happened to Bud and Sissy and Urban Cowboy?
Oh, that's a good...
Yeah!
I'm actually surprised
Is he
they
fat
did.
now?
Yeah.
Is she working at Walmart? Like, what happened realistically?
I'm actually surprised they did make a sequel, because that was successful.
Right, it was a big deal. Like, at least... Like, I like... there was some... there's movies where they'll kind of... Or a movie that... basically kind of overlaps another one. Sometimes it'll like have a characters. They'll do that in TV shows.
Well,
and stuff.
16 Candles.
Yeah.
Do Jake and
Yeah,
Sam
they
actually
go
work out? No,
they
do
go
they
in for a
actually
summer
work out?
and then like he dumps her for the girl at the mall.
Seriously,
Come on.
She
ends up with Blaine in Pretty in Pink.
Right. Well, remember at Fast Times they tell you what happens.
That's true. Those are fun. Like
Because think
Animal
about
House.
it. In no reality of any high school whatsoever does a girl like that end up with a guy like that.
And nor does he have a Porsche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And not to mention, he needs to be grounded for like a year for...
Mm-hmm.
There's a hole in the basement into the wine cellar. I mean, there's no way that guy does not get grounded for a year, if not worse.
I know,
for
right?
the damage
He's not
done
like
to that
driving
house.
the Porsche to the
So,
wedding ceremony or the wedding chapel or whatever.
I would love to know the last week, a month.
Right.
I always wish it was a sequel to Ferris Bueller. Because
Right.
everything just ended perfectly. Maybe it's better that way.
Right, because it probably wouldn't have, what I mean?
But you need to find out if he actually graduated. What happened to the sister? The sister who got arrested and was next to Charlie Sheen.
Oh, she got knocked down with Tiger's blood.
Totally. That would have been amazing.
She is like toothless and living in
because she ended up
somebody's
just
basement.
dirty dancing.
Absolutely, and then nobody knew what happened to her.
Yeah, because she got a nose job.
You know what? If you think what?
Speaking of Dirty Dancing, though, did you guys see the TV version of it?
The Van Nights or whatever.
No, that was
no,
Serrano.
the one that just came out this year with Abigail Breslin as Baby.
What?
No.
It was horrible. It was on ABC, but it actually added like a scene at the end where it was now they had taken Dirty Dancing, made it into the Broadway show that it is now, right?
Okay.
And he was now, I guess he was the choreographer of that show, so she met up with him years later. And she was married with family, and then he was still single, and it was like, no! It was like, this is the sequel I never wanted to see! No! This is just so wrong! I was so like, no, I want to unsee that! No! They're supposed to end up
We could do
together.
ones that they should have never made sequels.
We you know what? We were talking about that, the worst sequels, I think, one of the show, remember? And the thing that pissed me off was they redid these.
Well, Eddie and the Cruisers, too.
Okay, let's just don't play. It was still good. The ending of that movie.
That was a great ending. Actually, that's a great ending. Yeah.
That is a great ending. Yes.
Darn it, because that spooked me and I loved it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, and then when the freaking the TV goes off and you're like, oh yeah. Was that freaking the one who played the reporter what's her name?
Ellen Burstyn.
Or Ellen, the one who's on
No, it's
Animal Kingdom.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, isn't she hardcore?
She's famous.
I don't know. You guys
I think she was in Diner. She was all
right.
Sorts
But she's on that show now. She's kind of rode hard, and
it's not Ellen Burstyn. It's
And by the way, the first one's called Before Sunrise.
Oh, thank you. It's she was in a movie with Lawrence Fishburne. That was all. Was that her?
She was in a movie with Al Pacino.
Just look up the cast of Eddie and the Cruisers. That's what I want to do,
doing.
isn't it?
Well, she's the one that's she's in Ocean's 13.
Ellen Barkin.
Oh, Barkin.
Yes.
Close.
Yes, she's on Ocean. I mean, she's on Animal Kingdom right now.
She's the cougar.
Oh my god, I loved her. She looked much better.
She's a great actor.
She was looking much better.
She was also in that movie where she comes back as a man. Or
Tom Berenger, he was
awesome. He wasn't.
The man
He's the keyboard player.
Right.
She comes back as this guy who's a womanizer has died, and he comes back in her body.
Oh,
what?
You're right.
With Jimmy Smits.
Yes.
All of me?
No.
I just watched that long away.
Edwina Beckenbohm. That is the only.
That's an underrated movie.
I love that movie.
With Lily Tomlin and Steve Martin.
The heck is the name of that movie?
Which one? And did we get off track? Are we gonna have to re-record this whole
episode? I leave everything in. It doesn't matter.
What was the topic of this one? You would think that we all just got stoned before this. Like seriously.
Okay, she was in Sea of Love with Al Pacino. She was in The Big Easy with Dennis Quaid. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Brooklyn's Finest. No.
Who is
this? I'll find it.
Is it a TV show or is it a movie?
No, Switch.
Switch. Okay.
Switch.
Who's that? What's Switch?
It's the movie with Ellen Barkin and Jimmy Smits.
Ellen Barkin.
Birkin, Burston. Actually, there is an Ellen Burston though.
Sure is. She's a famous actress.
Yeah.
There is one of those, right?
Jimmy Smits. There's a hot man.
Really? I thought I thought you didn't like Latin men.
I don't, but I do him.
Now we're really getting on topic. Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I couldn't find my Eddie and the Cruisers DVD, and I'm really upset.
Well, here, totally off.
Don't make me.
I had it on, and I had it already on. I had the song.
Yeah. Do you know? I thought that was the best matchup.
Lip sync, yeah.
Because you know that I'm in love with Michael Pare.
He looks nothing like John Cafferty. John Cafferty.
Yeah. He was also in a couple episodes of like Cold Case or random stuff.
He's been on random
stuff
for years.
Because I was like, where is he?
No, he's hot.
But
now he has an age.
So one movie they should have never made a sequel to is Staying Alive, or Saturday Night Fever, which was then Staying Alive.
But that was the funniest. Oh my god, yeah,
it's
that's
so
right.
Bad.
You're
right.
Well, what's even more random is she said it's Vinola. I didn't even realize Vinola Hughes could dance. I mean, I know her from General Hospital.
Yeah.
I've been watching General Hospital for 20 years.
Bitch?
Yeah.
Yes. I've been watching General Hospital for like 25 years. I used to watch that when I was 3 years old with my grandmother, and it's like, wait, she dances?
Right.
But John Travolta's main love interest in Staying Alive was the girl that had to get an abortion in Dirty Dancing. She's a famous dancer.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
She's also in Flashdance.
That's right. Yeah,
and she's Richard Marx's ex-wife.
That's right.
Jeez, look at that one! Like that, boom, boom, boom. Bam. That's like a triple point in Scrabble right there.
It was the trip though to realize how old she is when she's in Dirty Dancing. She is really old.
Yeah. Right. You know what? It's so funny. This Staying Alive. I didn't realize that for the longest time that it was a sequel.
It is.
And
Stallone directed it.
Yeah, and there's a cameo where he's walking down the street. And Is he like in a fur coat or something?
Oh, yes,
yes.
What a putz.
Of course.
Yeah.
But
they should have left that
my
one
sister
alone.
and I laugh all the time when we watch him dancing.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
But even now, like you do something to my sister, we met. Could you not mess with the hair? Like, I spent a lot of time on it, and then you hit it.
Well, the thing that he says about making that movie is that he hated how much working out he had to do to get in shape for that movie.
For Staying Alive?
Body. But you notice he loses his accent in Staying Alive.
He does. He gets like sophisticated.
Yeah, he does. But
that end play that he's in was like the Devils and.
Oh, well, you know what? The Broadway stuff is kind of corny like that, right?
Oh, yeah, but it's the worst play ever.
And then...
Well, it's not a play. It's a
musical dance, whatever.
Thing.
Right. Yeah. Whatever happened to the brother he had that was the priest? How come was he in there?
Yeah, they just ignored that.
And the dad? They just ignored that. They just left him out.
Well, they left all his friends out from the first one, too. I mean, there was none of his friends.
Did you guys ever see the movie Perfect? With him and Jamie Lee Curtis?
No. I saw some scenes of it and I almost vomited.
He was wearing, like, you can see full on John Travolta.
You can see his junk.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
like nobody's business. It's like, it's based on a jazzercise.
It's based on an article written by Rolling Stone about the whole jazzercise craze or the aerobics craze. Literally, there's 40 minutes of Jamie Lee Curtis just doing aerobics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way, I do own it and we will watch it.
Yeah. Are you keeping that list
I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Weekend at Bernie's, too.
Yeah,
that was a disaster.
I want to know how.
By the way, we're doing best sequels. This is kind of devolved into like movies.
Weekend at Bernie's is a sequel, right?
Yeah,
that's kind
of. It was horrible,
dude. How do you do a sequel with a dead guy? He's going to start to decompose. Where's the
not only
logistics
that,
in that?
Hello, there's a whole plot problem at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
What?
In the first movie, he has sex. Not he. In the first movie, Paul McCarthy has sex
Andrew
McCarthy has sex with Bernie's girlfriend.
Right.
Remember?
Okay, no.
But yet he saves Silverman, whatever his name is.
I know.
Jonathan Silverman.
He saves Jonathan Silverman because they need the blood of a virgin.
Right.
What?
How is he a virgin in the second movie when he's having sex with the girlfriend in the first movie?
Oh, I didn't even know that. Well, do they bring him back to life?
Yes. No, they.
Well, he's just kind of
the
there.
Voodoo.
Oh, so he did, because I never saw the second one. I saw parts of the first one.
They should have just left it alone. Yeah.
But there was so many plot.
Okay, let's just talk about the main component of this. Is that the actor who played Bernie is a genius because he got paid to do jack shit.
Yeah, he was dead for 2 movies.
He was like a weirdo in some other movies, right?
Yeah, I've seen him in other things.
I had a couple of things, yeah.
Without the mustache.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Perfect is basically just not that we need to.
Yeah. Oh, I've never seen it, but I know what movie that is.
Right, we're going to have to sit and watch it sometime because this is really.
Yeah, that's all she does is basically gyrate the whole movie.
It's like Showgirls.
Do you know she's a hermaphrodite, by the way? You guys know that, right?
That is the rumor.
No, she was born with both, and then they made her a girl. But let's just, those outfits.
And you can see nipples.
For those of you at home, we are watching a small clip of the worst 80s
It's the 80s version of Showgirls.
It is, but there's no nudity.
But what is the point?
But you can see her nipples, and for the 80s, that's pretty.
But she's wearing the leotard with the.
Yeah, but I'm just saying for 80s, you've got butt cheeks showing. All I'm saying is you can see butt cheeks and you can see nipples. That's for 80s. That's pretty.
That's pretty risque.
Okay, can you tell me what the whole idea?
Well, wait.
No, I gotta find the.
He's writing an article. John Travolta wrote an article about the aerobics craze. No, he's up front with her.
What, the Jane Fonda craze of the 80s?
Look pretty much. Cute. He was cute.
Oh, he was adorable.
This one, you'll see the clip of him.
Oh, yeah.
And how is that aerobics?
How are they sweating?
Swing our heads around. Let's swing our heads around and call that aerobics.
Wait till they pan down. Yeah, that's what you want.
I think I know what you're talking about.
For everybody there you go. Please, YouTube.
Get that writing off this.
Oh, my God. She needs a bikini wax for that outfit.
Well, she's wearing tights.
John Travolta is basically wearing briefs.
He is wearing. Oh my gosh!
And they're not thrusting.
Yeah.
That is so. How did they not laugh?
Look at that guy back there. I mean, really?
He's wearing a half top.
He's wearing the half top.
Yeah.
A muscle half top, as if John Travolta's sweating like a pig.
Oh yeah.
And
it's super hairy.
And a really inappropriate, unattractive.
It's the most creepy. What are they
doing? It's an unattractive little sweatshirt top he's wearing. I mean, come on, seriously.
How does this happen? How do you as an actor
there it is.
yourself? Oh my God. Oh, there's that girl. She
look at that guy back there. Look at that.
That's Mary Lou Henner from Taxi.
Oh my God, she is. This has got to have.
I don't even know how you break a sweat doing these moves. How do you break a sweat unless
you know what? They're embellishing.
Unless it's like what is it? Hot yoga? What Bikram yoga?
Yeah.
I don't know how these people are sweating.
I'm not going to be able to unsee this now. It's like this is going to scar me.
Okay, folks, this is the test of what we would be doing if we were watching a movie.
This is what happens when kids don't take their ADD medicine. Clearly, we are all touched.
I love how Best Sequels has turned into us watching the clips of Perfect.
It's sequels that should have never been made.
It wasn't Best Sequels. It was sequels we wish they would have made.
Yes,
Clearly, we wish. Look at you're fired, and it's your show.
Thanks. I appreciate all of this.
Look at you're gonna have to take over now.
Last show, guys.
Look at both of them, and they're bored over there.
And now we're talking about cats on the ground.
All
Thanks, guys.
Been real.
All right, Sarah and Janice, kind of that interview sort of devolved into our upcoming episode, which is sequels that we hate that should have never been made. And so we're going to leave it at that. You got kind of a teaser. I thought about editing out, but I'm thinking, no, I'll just put it on last, and then it will flow into the next episode. All right, until then, this is Brian signing off. If you enjoy this podcast and are an iTunes user, please do the show a favor and head on over to the official iTunes page for Damn Good Movie Memories. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. This will allow the show to appear higher in the algorithm and spread the joy of this podcast to the masses. If you are not an iTunes user, you can still listen and subscribe on Podbean at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook under our Damn Good Movie Memories page. You can also listen to a limited number of episodes on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and be sure to tune in next week for an all-new episode of Damn Good Movie Memories.